Welcome to Module 4 of the Excel training program. This is performing simple calculations. We look at introducing formulae, totaling columns and rows, calculating with formulae, calculating averages, finding highest and lowest values, understanding cell referencing, and using explicit values in formulae. Formulas are used in Excel to calculate data. If I go to my Formula tab here on the ribbon, I can see there are a varied number of different functions I could use, but one we're going to be commonly using is the auto sum. And we'll look at that in more detail in a moment here. Let's keep this as basic as possible. I'll just type 2 into our first cell here, A1, and then 2 into our next cell. Now in cell C1, I just want to add the two of those values up. As we'll find out, every formula begins with an equal sign. So I'll type an equal sign. Now our first value is in A1, so I'll type A1. Then I'll use my plus operator, plus sign, and then type in the cell reference for the second 2, which is B1. And that gives me 4, of course. If I was to change one of these, let's just change that to 5, let's say. My total has now changed to 7. I'll click back in that cell C1 there, and you can see in the formula bar that the formula is displayed. Now suppose I want to subtract instead of add. Just go back to that cell C1 there, and we can see it's A1 plus B1. Let's just delete that for the moment. So I'll clear the contents or hit my delete key and it's gone. Now I want to subtract the value in B1 from the value in A1. So I begin every formula with an equal sign. Our first cell reference is A1 minus, this time, B1. Hit return, and it leaves me the value of 3. Okay, I'll just go back to that cell there and we can see the formula in the formula bar. Okay, we'll just delete that again now. Suppose I want to multiply cell A1 by B1. Again, equal sign. A1 multiplied by, which is your asterisk or shift and 8, by B1. And that gives me the value of 10. Just go back to that cell C1 and you can see in the formula bar that's our formula there, A1 times B1. Okay, we'll just get rid of that. So I'll just hit my delete key to get rid of the 10 there and the corresponding formula in there. So to divide, we're going to start with an equal sign again, and our first cell reference is A1, so we'll type A1. Our division symbol is the / on our keyboard, so we'll type that, and then we'll type the second cell we need for this calculation, which is B1. And that gives me an answer of 2.5. Now suppose I want to add up some values in a row. I'll just get rid of this 2.5 for a moment, just delete that and put in another value, let's say 7. I'll use my tab key to jump to the next cell, type in a 5. Okay, now I want to add all of those up. Here's where I can use the auto sum. Now on the drop down arrow there are other functions we could use, but I just want the sum function. So I just click on that and it's suggesting to me equal sum open bracket A1 full colon D1. The full colon represents the range. If this is correct, all I need to do is hit return or to hit the auto sum icon again. And my total is 19 there. And we'll just change one of the values here. I'll just make that 3 instead, and that changes our total to 20. Okay, that was totaling a row. Now let's try a column here. So I'll just add some values here. Okay, same thing here. Now I just want to total up all those values in column A. So I'll hit the auto sum, and it's suggesting to me equals sum open bracket A1 full colon to A4. If this is what I want, then I can either hit the return key or the enter key, or just hit the auto sum again. And that gives me a total of 22. If I click into that cell, I can see on the formula bar here that the formula is displayed. So quite basic really. It's just a question of remembering what type of formula that you want. Okay, we're using the equal sum at the moment, but we're going to use some others in a while. Okay, I'm just going to go to another sheet here where I've got the days of the week, well, Monday to Friday, and I want to total up the values in column B. So what do is I go to auto sum, click on that. It's suggesting to me equal sum open bracket B1 full colon B5 close bracket. If that's what I want, I can either click the auto sum again or hit return. And that gives me a total of 30. Just to test that, we'll just change Monday's value here to 7, let's say. Hit return, I should have a total of 35 now. Another useful function is the average function. I'll just clear my total here by hitting the delete key and go up to auto sum and then down to average. What it's going to do here is find out the average of the 5 values here between B1 and B5. I can hit return now, and it tells me that the average is 7. You'll notice that the syntax for the average formula is similar to the sum formula. The only difference is the word sum is replaced by average. Another useful function is the max function. I'll just delete my contents of cell B6 first here. Max would find the highest value from a range, and that's again on the auto sum. We just go to max. The syntax here is equals max open bracket B1 to B5 close bracket, hit return, and it tells me which is the highest value, which was Friday at 10. Let's go back to that and delete that. I can also find the minimum value by going auto sum and then min. Very similar, except it's equals min this time. Hit return, and Tuesday should be our lowest value. Let's go back to that and delete that. Show you one more formula, which is the count formula, which will count up the number of entries in a range. We could already see there's 5 here, but we're just keeping this simple. So we'll go auto sum count numbers, and the syntax is equals count open bracket B1 to B5 close bracket, hit return, and of course I've got 5 values there. Okay, we're just going to try those formulae with a bit more data. I'm just going to move over to sheet 1 here, and let's just say we want to find out the average of the contracts here. Okay, so I'll put my cell pointer in cell C15, and I want to find the average, so I'll go auto sum average, and it's selecting the range, and I'll hit return, and it gives me a value of 208.2 8230. I'm just going to change the formatting of that particular cell to 2 decimal places. We're going to look at formatting a bit later. I'm just going to right click on it and go Format Cells. It's a number and I just want 2 decimal places. That's better. Okay, I'll just delete that formula there again and we'll try the max formula this time. Equals max. Hit return and it tells me that the highest value there is 440. Again, I might want to format the number to just 1 decimal place in this case. So instead of 2 decimal places, 0, and go OK to that. Okay, I'll delete that again. And we'll do the min this time, the minimum. Go to AutoSum, down to min, equals min, open bracket, C2 to C14, that's the correct range. Hit return, and it shows me that 94 is the lowest value there. We'll do a count formula next, so I'll just go back to that cell and delete the formula contents. Go up to AutoSum and down to count numbers. Again, very similar, equals count, open bracket, C2, full colon, C14, close bracket, hit return, and that tells me how many values are in that range. I'll just go back and delete that one again. And we'll just do a sum here. I'll go to AutoSum, just click sum, and this formula must be familiar by now, equals sum, open bracket, C2 to C14, which is the range, close the bracket, hit return. And that gives me a total of 2,707 contracts. Okay, now suppose I wanted to add up all these total contract values and get a sum total. First of all, I could do it by hand by going equals sum, open bracket, my first cell is G2, then the full colon, my last value is in G14, and then I just close the bracket and hit return, and that gives me the total contract values for all of those cities. Okay, I'll just go back to that. We can see that in the formula bar up here. Okay, I'm just going to delete that again just to show the other way. I can go up to the AutoSum, and it's not necessary to always click on the down arrow. Just if you want to sum, just click on the sigma symbol, Greek sigma symbol here. Click on that, and it's selected the range and suggests a total, which I know is correct, so I'll hit return. It gives me the total there. I'll just undo that and show you another way. Okay, this time I'm going to select all the cells, including the one where I want the total. Just hit the sigma AutoSum, and it puts the total in for me again there as well. Suppose I want to find out the total contract value for Edinburgh. So I'll just click into G2 because this is where I need my result. What we want to do here is multiply the number of contracts, in this case 170, by their contract value, which is 279. Okay, I'll just put in a heading here, total contract value, hit return. I'll just widen the column there to allow for the text. So, like I say, what we want to do here is multiply C2 by F2. We don't need a sum formula here because we're only dealing with 2 cells. So I'll go equals C2 multiplied by, which is our asterisk, by F2 and hit return. And that gives me the total contract value for Edinburgh. Now if I want to copy that down, I use relative copying, which means going to the bottom right hand corner of that particular cell, the active cell, left click and drag it all the way down as far as row 14 for Prague. And that gives me the total contract values for all the cities there. If I just have a look at the total for Prague, you'll see that the formula multiplies C14 by F14, which is correct. So we've just looked at 5 types of formula. Okay, there are plenty more where they came from, but we'll just worry about these 5 for the moment. So we have sum, average, count, max and min. If I go to more functions, if you were to type a description of the type of formula that you want, it will try and find the formula that you need, and there are lots of them. But we'll have a look at some of those later on. Okay, now I'm just going to go back to the original example that we started with. If you remember, in E1 here we summed up the values from A1 to D1. I'll just delete that and we'll go up to order sum here. We've already calculated the sum, so I'll try the average. Click average. It's suggesting to me equals average A1 to D1. We're in the brackets, hit return, and the average of those 4 values is 5. Just go back to that, delete that, and we'll try the next one, which is count. I should have an answer of 4 here, but we'll just test it anyway. Hit return, gives us 4. Okay, we'll delete that. Okay, then we'll go to order sum again and find the maximum value, and this should be 7 indeed. I'll just delete that again and go up to the min formula, the minimum equals min, open bracket A1 to D1, close bracket. Our answer should be the number 3, so I'll hit return, and it is. Okay, we'll just recap on the basic mathematical operators. I'll just delete that here. If I want to multiply 2 values, I don't need the sum formula, just go equals. Let's say I want to multiply C1 by D1, so C1 multiplied by D1, and you can see that it's highlighted those 2 cells. Hit return, and it gives me an answer of 35. Just go back to that. Now I could type out the formula here again, but I'll just go up here. Okay, and I'll use the division operator, so I'll just get rid of the asterisk there and put in a /, hit return, and that tells me that 7 divided by 5 equals 1.4. Let's go back to that. Go up to my formula bar here again, and I'll just delete the / and just use the addition operator. So C1 plus D1 should get an answer of 12 here. Okay, let's go back to that and use the minus operator. So C1 minus D1 should give me an answer of 2. Okay, remember you can always change the formula in the formula bar. It's not always necessary to have the answer or formula you require in the cell next to the values you want to calculate. I'm just going to go over to G1 here. Let's say I want to sum up those 4 values but have the result in G1. I'll go up to my AutoSum. Okay, now it's suggesting to me equal sum A1 to F1, but I might not want to include F1. I could just change the F1 to D1, or what I can do is select the cells that I do want to include in the sum value and hit return once I've got them selected. Okay, remember that every formula begins with an equal sign. Okay, also remember that we use our plus operator to add things together, our minus operator to subtract, our forward slash, I hit the shift by mistake there. Forward slash is our division symbol, and shift and 8, or on a number pad just the asterisk, is the multiplication. And we've covered 5 basic formulas: min, max, average, and count, and of course, most importantly of all, the sum formula. And remember, the ranges will go into brackets, so if I just want to type this one out here, I want A1 full colon to D1. Don't forget to close the bracket, hit return, and there's my total again. And that sums it up for basic formula for the moment. So just to recap on what we've covered in Module 4 here, performing simple calculations, we quickly introduced a formula there. We did some totaling of some columns and rows. We calculated with formula. We calculated some averages. We found highest and lowest values using min and max. And I hope you understand cell referencing a little more now. And we used explicit values in formula, which are the min, max, average, count, and of course sum. Here's the exercise for Module 4, performing simple calculations. You have 3 worksheets within this workbook. If you just go to the data one first of all, this is what you'll be working on. And then we go to the second worksheet at the bottom here and go to questions. I'll just give you a moment to read those. Okay, and then just click to solutions here and see if you can match the correct answers. Okay.